Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Ayaz the Wolf Akhtar.
The OnePlus 6 reviews are out, and they're mostly great. It's at $549, it's a sweet deal for a flagship caliber phone, but there are some little nagging missing parts. So it lacks waterproofing, not wireless charging, inexplicably has less of a battery charge than the OnePlus 5T, and doesn't run on Sprint and Verizon. Now, I don't want to just completely rag on it because it's a pretty decent phone, but I just want to get your thoughts on the OnePlus 6.
I'm a Verizon customer, so that's like an immediate non-starter for me, and it's an immediate non-starter for like half of the country. So why is this phone getting such good reviews if it's, what is it? It doesn't go on CDMA.
Yeah, it's basically because it's been able to package in, most of the features for a typical flagship phone at a much, much lower price. At $549, that is a far cry from the $1,000 iPhone X price.
Or you're looking at the Samsung Galaxy S9, I think starts at $720.
Right.
And this phone has some really great specs. It looks like it has a great feel to it in the videos we've seen of it. Dual cameras on the back, optical image stabilization for one of the cameras, I believe. And it seems like it's an affordable phone with really great specs. Again, though, the shortcomings, I think, are forgivable with that price point.
Right. Just the reason why it's not on Sprint or Verizon is because they'd actually have to make a specific version tuned to that carrier. That's not OnePlus's MO. They typically make one universal flagship phone. And unfortunately, they can't make custom tweaks just for Sprint and Verizon. This is a phone that works globally, and that's why AT&T and T-Mobile are in the mix.
I will say that I think the bokeh effect on this phone looks really good. So good for them.
And like or not, it's got the notch.
Which you can turn off.
Which you can turn off.
It's an OLED
yes.
screen, so when it's off, it's off. You don't notice it as badly. It's a really small notch compared to the iPhone 10, or actually about the size of the Huawei P20 maybe. But it's a pretty tiny notch, and I still think it's one of the ugliest design concepts that's ever happened.
Except it's a thing now. Like everyone's copying it.
It's the mullet of phone design from now. And in 10 years, we'll be like, oh, what were we thinking with that? That was a bad idea.
All right. Let's talk about Elon Musk. He was at the Leo Bake Temple in Los Angeles last week. I had a chance to watch his presentation where he talked about his boring company. This is this underground tunneling company, and his plans to get us zipping around these little mini pods at 125 miles an hour.
Wasn't he not going to do a Hyperloop? Now he is doing a Hyperloop?
So there's a bit of a distinction. He is actually working on a Hyperloop, even though he initially said he wasn't. This is actually this is considered a loop. It's shorter term. It's not cross country, or it doesn't cross state lines. It's really only within Los Angeles. The idea is you can get from Dodger Stadium to LAX in about 10 minutes.
Is that good?
That's amazing. It takes 45 minutes, an hour and a half in traffic. So all amazing things, but you have to wonder, it's for $1 only. Does this sound too good to be true?
Of course. Do $2, do $5. Nothing costs $1 anymore except stuff on the Happy Meal.
I'm generally afraid of getting stuck in this tunnel. Like, I already get claustrophobic in tunnels. If the subway gets stuck for like an hour, you're stuck there. What happens if you get stuck in one of the boring tunnels?
You'll be stuck underground.
You'll be really bored.
It sounds really terrifying to me.
All right. Lastly, we want to talk about Amazon. Ben, you had a chance to check out the facility that specializes in shipping supersized packages. Talk to us about what you saw.
Yeah, it was a 1.2 million square foot facility in Massachusetts. That's 26 football fields, what just happened. And it was the temporary home of a hot tub, a 70-pound beanbag, an industrial restaurant sink, a life-size Yeti statue. And apparently people buy this stuff online.
And do they expect 2-day shipping?
Not all of it was 2-day shipping.
All right.
They did send a Javelin there, and that was 2-day shipping, but some of this other stuff is absolutely not.
This is really nice. There's a great video that comes with the story. You should check it out. That's it. For more, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Ayaz the Wolf Akhtar.
Oh.
Thanks for listening.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
What was that?
All right, folks, you got double the
That was a
for this
premature
inaugural.
do.
I think the price was $529.
I was right.
Oh my God.
You guys should listen to me.
Thanks, Ayaz.
Why didn't I correct you during the show? That's why I said the low price point.
You know what? It's on sale for $20 less.
Didn't you say $549?
I did. That's why I was double checking. I was like, I gotta check. And then we went live, and I was like, crud.
Okay, so the OnePlus 6 correction.
So it's
$529.
an even better deal. Correction, yes.
At $549, forget it. $529,
$529,
sure. All right.
yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Sold.
I can buy a case for it.
I mean, I will say, the OnePlus 5T, I really liked it. It was definitely a solid phone. It's kind of hit most of the check marks for what you wanted in a flagship. The OnePlus 6 seems like a pretty good natural evolution. I do wish that, and I know they're talking to carriers, but I do wish that they offered more support.
Well, that's the problem is that OnePlus, I feel, does not have strong penetration in the U.S. And if you're going to throw out half of the U.S. customers in the first place, like they're just not even going to be your customer.
Well, look,
that's a problem.
They're not. Their MO has never been about being like a major player like an LG or Samsung. They don't have a big marketing blitz. A lot of their it's all word of mouth, right? So they've gone after sort of Android enthusiasts, folks who are more comfortable using unlocked phones, buying directly from a company's sight unseen, and so those are typically customers who are on AT&T and T-Mobile because they're more flexible with unlocked.
Yeah, OnePlus is pretty niche right now, and
it totally
and they're
is.
serving a certain market, which is good because you have to be educated enough to know that it exists.
Yeah.
Know that it only works on 2 of the carriers in the U.S., and then you're making that kind of trade-off because you're paying not a lot of money for really good specs, and it works on limited networks. But I mean, AT&T and T-Mobile, they're not like terrible by any means. I know Verizon's huge and red and
It's very
interesting.
red.
Yeah,
It's definitely red.
yeah, it's not as
No, look, the
magenta.
networks are all generally pretty good now. So, yeah, I think if switching to AT&T and T-Mobile are like the one big deal breaker for you, it's not anymore. I feel like those networks are generally fine if you give it a shot.
Yeah,
then.
and it's nice to see OnePlus. It's nice to see OnePlus getting some good traction in the U.S. and continually like coming out with new phones here, compared to some of the other smaller tier players, like let's say like Essential, which we talk about and write about, but like I don't think I've ever seen somebody that's like a friend of mine or even on the subway with an Essential phone.
Yeah.
I've seen more Blackberries recently in real life than an Essential phone.
That's
in real
rather
life.
New
damning.
Blackberries or old Blackberries?
New ones. I've
Okay.
actually seen. I'm like staring like a weirdo. Like, what is? It's a Blackberry. It's a TCL Blackberry. Oh my gosh! Like it's out in the wild
Interview that person
on the subway. Well, yeah.
I know.
I'm just the creeper. Like they're like, oh, what do you? I'm like, no, it's. Oh, sorry.
I would actually. If I saw someone with well, maybe not BlackBerry because I've seen more of those now.
But
If
Essential
someone
phones.
had an Essential phone, I would probably try to interview them. Like, what's going on? How do you feel right now?
I feel like you should take some questions.
Brian, what questions do we got?
forgot all about you, Brian.
I thought you were going to chime in at some point.
Everybody forgot me out there, but no one's forgotten me in the chat. You guys are lovely. Thanks,
Thank-
everybody. I'm still here. I'm just running stuff.
Our viewers
with
are
a
the
bigger-
best.
just run
And
back
yes,
over
Brian's he's the favorite amongst the folks on the show. So
Clearly. All right.
Clearly.
Question time from Pabuba. My question is, why is this phone getting so much attention? I would second that.
I mean, I would say it's OnePlus has a reputation for making phones for those hardcore Android enthusiasts. They pack in a lot of decent specs into a phone that is $529. That is a very attractive price point. I think that's generally what it is. The price alone has a lot of people interested in this phone.
Yeah, and the specs, like you were saying, are great, and the camera's really good, and,
Yeah.
and the reputation. It's not like it's the first OnePlus phone.
Right.
This is technically the 7th one because the 5T was the weird 6th one, and now this is the 7th one.
Well, and they've kind of gone into this mode where they do 2 flagships now. It's usually a 7 or a 6 and then a 6T, and so the same kind of cadence of 2 flagship phones. And they don't launch phones specific to any market. They just launch a flagship phone and everybody can buy it. That's the strategy. They don't have like a cheaper alternative. They've got basically 2 phones a year, and if you like it, buy. If you don't, well, whatever. And
Sounds like that used to be Apple.
kind of. And also they sell out fairly quickly. It's actually they still have not
Wasn't one of them like an invite only for a
well,
while?
for a while they were invite only,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how they got their cred. But it's once they there's like a limited window where you buy these phones and then they're like done, and then they move on to the next phone. So it's that kind of strategy has worked for them in a niche setting with people who are savvy, who know Android, who know what a decent phone is.
I think LG would kill for this kind of coverage.
Oh yeah,
LG's like, come on, we've been here forever. Come on. Oh,
More questions.
All right, more questions. From Srinjoy, OP6 says it's water resistant, but claims, and I quote, a drop of rain shouldn't get in the way of you and your smartphone. Just don't take it out for a swim. Which phone doesn't protect from a drop of water?
does not.
He's saying like
older
everything's
phones.
water resistant to a point. What's
This
what's
one
the
is
point of
true.
trying to make a big deal out of this?
This one's splash proof. That's what they're calling it.
Yeah,
like, you know,
It's,
if your
it's
hands
not.
are wet
You
or-
can't dunk it underwater like
Right.
you can an iPhone or a Galaxy S9.
But can I dunk it on the court?
you
can,
can, but it's not
once.
gonna. It's not gonna. Yeah, that's it. It's
I
a
think-
one-time affair.
No, it's all the older phones that, you know, if you accidentally like dropped it in the toilet or in the bathtub, if you're, I don't know, like
Right.
that, you know, you spend hundreds of dollars on a phone and then all of a sudden it's just gone completely kaput on you. The idea is with the newer phones, that kind of thing doesn't happen anymore, which is a benefit.
Yeah, and it may not happen that often, but it's nice to have that peace of mind.
The OnePlus probably get it in a year or two, honestly,
Yeah.
because they're slightly behind on certain specs, but the insides are really
Right.
amazing.
Inside, like the camera, they kind of fell behind on portrait mode last year's model. This year, I think they really with the OnePlus 6, they really stepped up the portrait mode. Last year, they didn't have a dual camera setup. That they had a single camera, and it didn't work as well as they said it did. But I think they really addressed that issue this year.
Do we know who's making their OLED panel? Did they make their own OLED panels? Because LG they made it for the Pixel, and the Samsung obviously
that's
makes
a
some of the
fantastic
best ones.
question.
I'm really curious where they're getting that, because I haven't heard in the reviews, I haven't heard anything negative about the screen.
Right.
And I'm kind of curious about that. So I don't know that. I have to look that up.
We'll have to look that up for
The
later.
chat room can find out.
To the chat.
To the chat, Brian.
We want to know from whatever. That's a great screen name. Do you think this notch thing is completely wrong and overhyped? I think we've stated that a few times.
I mean, look, I don't know about overhyped. It's just become so Apple like.
Essential.
Whatever.
Did
Well,
it first.
no. Screw that. I don't. Look, Essential did a notch, but no one noticed because no one bought the Essential. What Apple did was turn the notch into an icon of luxury. Basically, if you have
Status symbol,
a status
yeah.
symbol, if you have a phone, if you have a notch in your phone, that means you have the iPhone X, which means you could afford the super expensive phone. And now every company is coming out with their own notch phone because they all think that that's become that status symbol. They want
Right, which ultimately devalues the notch and means that the notch is no longer what it used to be. And so hopefully, that means the notch will go away at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of patents and things I've seen that you could build a lot of these technologies in the screen, cameras in the screen,
cameras
between the
underneath the screen,
pixels.
right.
We're still waiting for the fingerprint sensors in the screen.
Yes.
I mean, look,
really like
Apple
that idea.
had patents for that. They filed patents for that for years now. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
They still haven't gotten around to it. And I think this was definitely a design compromise. And
And they
hopefully,
leaned into it.
Yeah,
They
no,
leaned
but
into
hopefully
it and made
longer
it-
term though, like we'll look at this as sort of a blip, right? Like before we got to actual full screen phones.
I don't know. The AirPods we also thought were really silly looking, and I see them all over
They
the
still
place.
are silly looking.
But they are insanely
Everybody
popular.
wears them though.
That just
Okay,
just because it's a
fine.
bad design
All
trend,
the other kids are doing it, Dad.
just because it's like, oh, acid wash jeans are back, doesn't mean that's a good thing. Okay, there's a
Well,
lot
no,
of
but that's what
things-
we're seeing right now with Apple. Apple can start a trend with a terrible idea, and everyone will follow it.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean,
Tim
look,
Cook didn't hear
so
that.
far
It's
Samsung,
true.
Samsung's staying away from the notch so far. So far, so good.
Yeah, the iPhone X outsells any other Samsung phone, though.
Does it?
Yes,
You
it's
sure?
the top-selling individual phone.
Well, people like their phone looking different. I mean, I like my phone
That's
actually
kind.
working.
I think that might be it. That it's different enough that you know it's a new and better. Well,
yeah,
better.
it's-
It's the newest phone.
it's
the
Malibu
latest phone.
Stacy with a new hat. I know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look, it's slightly different. It's like,
Notch.
The OLED screen, I think, on the iPhone 10 is a bigger story than the stupid notch, honestly. The OLED is much better than LCD when it comes to display technology. Big fan of that. But apart from that, I mean, Samsung's had that for years. You know,
Right.
LG's had it, and they're just like, crying. Still LG. I'm sorry, LG. I don't mean to pick on them, but I really root for them. But they don't do anything right.
I know. It's a little sad.
That's why we like OnePlus.
Brian,
This is
any-
why
any
why
other-
we need Ayaz on the show more often, not because of his valuable commentary, because there's someone else who can keep up with my Simpsons references.
There you go.
Let's take a question from Michael Brown. Well, more like a statement, and I think this one's going to warm the cockles of Ayaz's cold dead heart. I feel like OnePlus phones are the Android geek's dream, with all due respect. What do you think, Ayaz?
Are they? Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think that they are.
No.
No,
They're not. They're missing some things, but they are.
They're pretty close.
They're when you're looking at the price point, you're like, yeah, this is really close to great.
Yeah.
But I got to be a little bit more careful with this. And you might, if you are knowledgeable in phones, you might go, well, I could get waterproofing, but that's going to cost me another $200 for something else. Or do I get a case or a OnePlus and make that work? So I think it's
Well, also you have to factor in like with Samsung, which has all the bells and whistles. I would argue that the OnePlus version of Android is a little bit cleaner, a little bit quicker than Samsung, which tends to have a little bit more bloatware.
Yeah, but they've gotten a little lighter on their
They've gotten
touch.
lighter, but I mean, in terms of a clean version of Android, it's fairly up there. I mean, I would still say the Pixel is probably the.
It'd be great if Google bought OnePlus instead of the HTC guys. They'd be like, oh, okay, let's now we can make it work together.
Well, Google has the money; they can buy both.
They should. I mean, they have.
That would kill
Yeah,
OnePlus's street cred, though.
No, it wouldn't.
To get purchased by the big guy?
Also, it wouldn't work because Oppo actually owns them, and I don't think they're going to let go of.
Let's
the
buy
hottest
Oppo, whatever.
properties.
Like Google can buy anything.
I don't know if they can buy Oppo. That's a little bit more pricey.
What's the market cap?
I have no idea.
I'll look it up and
But
find out.
they own 3 phone brands that are like in the top 2 in the world.
What's the other one?
Vivo and.
Oh, Vivo's them.
Yeah, Vivo and there's
And
a
I
third
think it
one.
is Oppo. Oh,
Oppo
Vivo,
itself.
Oppo, and then
And then OnePlus.
Yeah, it's close to Android Dream, but it's missing a couple of features because of the marketplace. If you looked
Yeah.
at this phone in isolation, it's a really good looking phone, good specs. But then you're like, wait a minute, that's got wireless charging, and that one's got expandable storage,
Right,
and this one
right.
doesn't. So expandable storage, I think, is one of the bigger cruxes with this. Without that, because I hate it when Google's like, oh yeah, we're not going to have expandable storage on the Pixel. So it's easier for you to manage. Just like, you jerks. Like, I want to expand micro SD, not.
wait a minute. It's at this point in the conversation we have to ask about the headphone jack. Does it have one?
It's a great
Yes,
question.
it does
Do we
have a
know?
headphone jack.
Okay,
They did
great.
not
I'm
abandon
sold.
headphone jack.
Sold. I'm going to throw out my old phone.
And
get in this
Verizon,
one.
apparently. You're going to burn your ties.
That's true.
This is all I need is a headphone jack.
From Michael Brown, if the Google Pixel 3 were like the OnePlus 6, would it receive this much praise?
Yes, absolutely, especially at that price point. If it was
Yeah, the
five,
price
if,
point.
if Google had a $500 phone like it used with the Nexus, people were like, "Oh my
That's
gosh!"
the thing. That was Google's original strategy, which is why people love those Nexus phones. And then they decide we're going to do flagship phones now with flagship pricing, and then a bit of the appeal kind of wore off there.
You know, arguably OnePlus could have been like a Nexus partner if they existed at the time. You know, if you think
Right,
about it, that
right.
their phones are really nice, and like Huawei made it inroads because their phone wasn't like really branded as Huawei. It was Nexus. I guess it was Huawei 6P, whatever it was. Then there was LG's phones did really well as long as they were called Nexus, the 4.
Yes.
Oh my God, you said something nice about LG.
I
Well,
know.
no, they
It's as
did-
long as you don't put their name on
But
it, everyone's happy.
LG did really well because their phones in particular were the ones that were the affordable ones.
Yes.
Like Nexus 5 was just like a huge seller.
But this was
because-
the Pixel 3, and the camera's this good, and
But that's never going to happen. They're not going to
the Pixel
slash
camera's
the
great.
price on the Pixel for the newest
No,
one.
they're
They
not.
could do a small version, just like there's the cheap iPhone, right? There's the SE and the SE2 eventually coming out.
I don't see that happening, but it is possible.
I think it's going to happen. An affordable one.
I don't know. I'm skeptical.
Well, that's good. 'Cause now we all disagree.
There we go.
Otherwise, it's just like a love fest. I agree with Roger. I agree with Ben.
I agree with you.
I
We
agree
should
with
disagree.
Me. I don't-
So with all this talk of Google, Ayaz, you have a new Google show coming up, don't you?
yeah, we're going to be recording it like right over there. It's going to be exciting. There's a promo
Right by the
for it.
window?
Yeah, right in front of the window. And there's going to
Sweet.
be people like smacking the glass
I'm
constantly.
gonna be smacking that glass. I'm gonna be like, hey, dude.
Maybe we should show the
Get on the
promo,
show.
which features 100% less Roger.
Whoa, what? Terrible.
Let's take a look at the tape.
Let's do it. Let's check it out.
You want to know about Google, Android, Waymo, YouTube? You should be watching Alphabet City. It's the show that covers Alphabet from A to Z. What's Alphabet, you ask? Let me Google that for you.
Alphabet is mostly a collection of companies. The company would consist of Google as well as other businesses including X, Capital, and GV.
I know it sounds like a lot, but we'll explain it all on Alphabet City.
True story.
Yeah,
Because
I'm stoked. Yeah.
true story. Alphabet. It was like, what's Alphabet? It's like it's a company. It's a major
It was
company.
very annoying for all reporters.
Yeah,
I know.
it really
If
is.
you
When
go
they
to-
changed the
If you go to
name.
CNET,
Alphabet or Google parent Alphabet.
Alphabet, comma, parents company of Google, comma.
Right. It's the
That's-
biggest company you've never heard of because they just don't.
That's a better tagline. I should say that in the beginning. I might change my script now. The biggest company you've never heard of because they own Google, but you never remember that.
That's true.
That reorg happened, what, 2 years ago now?
Could have been 3 years
2 or
ago
3?
even.
Yeah.
abc.xyz. You can go check that out.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
like,
website.
okay, maybe I'm
Hooli's in
quizzing
there,
you.
right?
Huli, yes, correct.
Maybe I'm quizzing you too much.
the
But
Hooli
there's
box.
the Calico.
Calico's in
is-
there?
Yeah.
What is
That's
Calico?
the life extending one, right?
Yeah, that's the one that
The life extending one.
yeah.
That's the one I want to
they
learn
all
more
get to be
about.
immortal, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
else do they keep their fortune?
they have that. Then there's also you guys covered Jigsaw recently.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's another one.
This is Waymo.
Waymo's. I think that's one of the bigger,
Yeah,
well-known
yeah.
ones because it used to be within, and then there's Nest, and that's complicated. Nest used to be part of Alphabet, and then it went back, actually part of Google, then reorg to Alphabet, and then they're like, yeah, let's
Now it's back
just
to
put it
Google.
back into Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
put it back.
it's all part of the same company. It's just really reorganizing the chairs a little bit.
Also, everything, the managerial structure would change, and you'd have a little flatter structure. Because if you got Nest and it's kind of operating on its own, you got this Google hardware division, it seems like you could really have that work together better, as opposed to having two separate companies for that.
Nice.
Well, I'm excited for the show because
Me
I'm
too.
often confused by the sheer number of little subsidiary companies that Alphabet now runs.
Wait, so how can I watch this thing?
You can watch this thing on YouTube. You can watch it on
YouTube?
CNET.com.
Really?
It's a site. You might have heard of it. Let's see. Where else? You could probably watch it. If you sit over there, you can watch it when I shoot it at an hour or two.
Oh,
All right.
cool.
So if you guys are
We'll
watching
be
this,
there.
yeah, you guys can come over. Sit in the
Just on
studio.
the carpet.
Yeah, we got a couch. You can sit over there.
Nice.
Just don't throw anything at me while I'm at the desk. Okay. That's all I ask. You can
No
shout.
promises. We'll try.
Feel free to shout. Rip down the set, but just don't throw anything at me. That's all I
Okay.
ask.
We are almost out of time, so we'll take one last question from Alex Mitchell. This is, again, more of a statement, but hopefully the tunnel, we're switching gears over to the Boring Company here. Hopefully the tunnel will have Wi-Fi for when you get stuck. It's Elon Musk. How could it not?
I don't even know how that would work. They would have to
charge more.
They'd have to work with like a Verizon or, well,
What if they charge $50 for Wi-Fi?
that's
That's
like for the ride.
That's the sneaky part.
Well, then again, look, if you're on this thing for 10 minutes, it's not that huge a deal, right? Unless you get stuck, I guess.
Well, in case you get stuck, and also you're gonna make me not look at my phone for 10 minutes. That sounds horrible.
That's true. That
And
is a long time.
You're in there with strangers with bicycles. You're just kind of like, I don't want to look at you. I need to look at something
That's
else.
New York mentality, man. LA people, they're nicer. They all talk, right?
They're all chatting with
They're
each
all-
other.
yeah,
But what
totally.
happens when you
Give me
become
a
a mole
break.
man? You're underground. Maybe your attitude changes. You ever think about that? You got no more
Where you
sunlight.
see no sunlight for an hour or two.
You got LA and it's like all sunny, and then you go into a hole. This is crazy. And you need Wi-Fi. Or
Those
like-
pods look pretty cool, man. They got the flashy fluorescent
Call
light.
me when it
Looks like-
happens.
I've never,
Looks like a club.
None of the pods seem to have, bathroom facilities.
Well, it's 10 minutes.
10
Do you
minutes.
really?
What if you have a kid? Those things sometimes they don't really think things out. And
Those
you're like,
things?
Yeah, those little monsters. There's mini humanoids. These
It's
things.
what diapers are for. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not gonna put a diaper on a 5-year-old.
Oh, that's true.
There's-
I have definitely
I'm still
had
dealing with diapers,
a 10-minute
so-
blitz, where it's, where you come very close to
You're like,
needing
come
a
on.
bathroom immediately.
And if there's any delays, what if it's 12 minutes?
Ugh. Look, I would say if Elon Musk promises a lot, like almost, it's all unbelievable, really. But
the whole
if it
SpaceX
actually
thing.
comes to fruition in anywhere near the scale that he wants it at, I would move back to LA.
Okay.
I won't miss you.
I know you won't.
Okay.
We are we are out of time, but I did want to address one more comment. I should address a bunch of comments because everybody in the chat's been saying really cool, sweet things. We will miss the old room too, but the biggest benefit Matthew Datcher points out is we do not have to deal with giant bombs screaming on the other side of the wall.
Oh, I
We will miss
forgot.
that too.
I
It's
miss
been
the
become a
screaming
game and it's endearing.
obscenities just going through the wall.
We can just put him behind that curtain.
I mean, we could have Alfred
We'll
back
get
there
Vinny,
just cussing.
We'll get
Like,
Vinny to
he
show
could do
up
it.
and yell off camera a few times just for old time's sake.
If he just shows up
Then
in
we
the
all
glass
get
behind our
misty-eyed,
eyes.
like, oh, look at that F-pop go.
Or you get a muffled soundboard with random things.
But anyways, yeah, thanks everybody. It's been really cool trying this out. Bear with us while we get used to the growing pains and the new setup. And excuse me for dropping frames here because I did screw up a couple times today, but that's the show you
okay.
pay for.
It's all right, Brian. It's going to be awkward for a while.
Oh,
More
I
awkward than
realized
usual,
I
at
was-
least.
More than usual. That's
More
the
than
important
usual.
part.
Definitely.
Anyways, who wants to wrap us up?
I guess I will.
We don't know how to. Where's
kinda-
the script?
We're 405 episodes in. You haven't memorized it yet?
I don't know what I'm
kinda
doing.
forgot, actually.
Where can you find
I've
this
been
show?
gone for a month, to be fair. Anyways,
I can do
If
it
you
if
liked
you
it,
want.
well, go ahead, wrap it up for us. Do it, Ben.
359 is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Feedburner, Google Play Music, the Amazon Echo, and of course, CNET.com. Thanks everybody for watching. Ayaz, thanks for coming on the show.
Watch
Watch
Alphabet
Alphabet
City.
City.
Agree.
Okay. Thanks
All right,
everybody.
thanks,
See you
everyone.
tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right.
It's at this point that I usually do
I know.
this.
Where's the? All right.